Today is International Men's Day, and the wives gave these guys a day of freedom, letting them go out and have fun without having to stay home and watch the kids. The guys gather at an open field, pondering what to do for fun. One of them comes up with an idea. "Hey, how about we play with a car?" "Huh? What car? Where are we going to get a car to play with? Cars are never in short supply." And soon enough, a heavily damaged Mercedes truck from an accident is brought in. The front of the truck is severely deformed. The grille and headlights are shattered and bent out of shape. Metal parts at the front are twisted and broken. The front bumper is broken and hanging loosely, no longer maintaining its original form. The hood is open, exposing the internal components. Parts like the radiator, cooling fan, and hoses seem severely damaged or dislodged. The front windshield is shattered, and the front frame is bent. Overall, the cabin is almost completely destroyed, barely recognizable. The chassis is visibly bent and deformed near the middle and on both sides. Part of the suspension system remains intact, including the axle. The guys begin the grand restoration of the Mercedes truck. First, they remove the cabin to repair each part individually. Once detached, a tow truck moves the front of the truck to another location for repairs. The team at this location starts dismantling the parts on the cabin. One guy inspects the electrical connections, using only his hands to remove the wires from the engine. His nimble hands continue to remove the car door and front bumper. They use an industrial lift with forks at the front to move and lift heavy objects, aiding in the dismantling and transportation process. They dismantle parts of the cooling system and cabin. The drivetrain is also removed and taken out of the chassis for repairs. This truck repair job is a prime example of coordinated teamwork between humans and machinery. They continue to remove the rear axle and pair of rear wheels. One person adjusts the frame lifting device, while another uses a blowtorch to heat the metal in preparation for straightening the frame. A hydraulic lift is used to hold the chassis steady and apply force to straighten the deformed sections. They use mechanical strength combined with the force from hydraulic equipment to adjust the bent sections back to their original shape. Then, they use hammers to remove bolts from the body as well as disassemble parts of the chassis. Now they can begin straightening the bent parts of the chassis. One guy uses a rubber mallet to tap on the deformed areas of the chassis. This process is done carefully to ensure the chassis is straightened without causing any further damage. One of the guys stands outside, holding another tool to assist in straightening the frame. They work together seamlessly. This stage requires a lot of strength and precision. With the effort of the two guys, the frame returns to its original shape. Next, one of the guys uses a spray gun to quickly and evenly paint the surface of the frame. He moves the sprayer smoothly to ensure the paint is evenly applied with no spots missed. The main part of the frame is now done. The metal bars to replace the old parts of the frame have arrived, and it's time to see which parts they will replace. They measure and mark the metal bars, then cut them using an oxyacetylene metal cutter. The oxyacetylene cutter uses a hot flame to cut through metal. It can cut through thick metal sheets that other cutting methods can't handle. This cutter creates clean cuts with high precision. However, the guy doesn't use any protective equipment, which suggests his skills are very advanced. After cutting the metal bars, the guys use a blowtorch to heat the metal bars and a mechanical press to shape them as needed. They place a smaller metal bar inside the larger one to create different angles. The metal bar takes shape, revealing they have just made a reinforcing bar. A reinforcing bar helps distribute force more evenly when the truck is under load, reducing the risk of deformation or braking, especially for vehicles that have been in accidents. The contact surfaces of the frame and the reinforcing bars are ground and cleaned to ensure strong welds with no impurities. Then, they attach the reinforcing bars to the frame using a mechanical press. The mechanical press can apply large, even pressure, ensuring the reinforcing bars adhere tightly to the frame without shifting or misalignment. Using a mechanical press reduces the effort and time compared to manual tools, making the assembly process quicker and more efficient, and minimizing human error. The press also reduces the risk of workplace accidents since workers don't have to exert excessive force manually. They do the same with the reinforcing bar on the other side of the frame. Wow, the reinforcing bars are crafted with great precision, fitting perfectly into the frame. Then, one guy uses a hammer to tap the reinforcing bars into the frame to adjust their position and ensure they are properly aligned. This tool helps correct small misalignments before welding. Additionally, they need to drill extra holes to secure the body and reinforcing bars tightly with bolts, enhancing the frame's durability and safety. The necessary holes are drilled into the frame and reinforcing bars to prepare for bolting. Next, they install the outer reinforcing bars onto the frame. This is an essential step in the process of repairing and reinforcing the chassis. The next component they install is the rear axle suspension, where the mechanical connections between the chassis and the rear axle are established. The rear axle suspension includes linkage rods, bolts, and other components to securely connect the rear axle and the chassis. Proper installation of this component is crucial because it directly affects the load-bearing capacity, durability, and stability of the vehicle during operation. After installation, one of the guys uses a pneumatic impact wrench to tighten the bolts. This tool uses compressed air to generate strong torque, allowing for quick and efficient tightening of bolts. Bolts are used to secure the reinforcing bars to the chassis. This requires the correct type of bolts and the appropriate tightening force to ensure durability and safety. The next task is tightening the cross members. This is important for reinforcing the stiffness and stability of the chassis, helping to evenly distribute the load and minimize bending or deformation of the chassis during the truck's operation. After tightening the bolts, the guy uses a blowtorch to heat and then lightly taps the bolts with a hammer. Heating the bolts and then lightly tapping them creates local plastic deformation, which can generate additional clamping points on the threads, preventing the bolts from loosening due to vibration or external forces. Once the chassis is securely fixed, the wheels are installed. Afterwards, the guy spray paints the exterior of the chassis. Next, the new engine is delivered and placed into the chassis, just below the cabin. The guys tighten bolts to secure the engine to the chassis. The previously battered cabin is now being repainted in blue. After painting the exterior, the cabin is lifted and mounted onto the chassis. At this point, the new radiator is installed. Next, they reassemble the lower parts of the truck doors and tighten screws to secure them. Headlights and the front bumper are installed and secured, positioned near the radiator. Earlier, only the upper chassis of the cabin was painted. Now, after mounting it on the chassis, they cover the interior with paper to paint the remaining parts. The front windshield and the wind deflector on top of the cabin are also installed, ensuring no part, no matter how small, is overlooked. One guy installs the front grille of the truck. This is an important part that protects the engine's cooling system while improving airflow into the engine bay to maintain optimal operating temperatures. They install the remaining parts to complete a fully assembled cabin. As the sun sets, the guys breathe a sigh of relief, realizing that staying at home with their wives and kids is much more comfortable, and resolve not to let that friend decide again next time. Before heading home, they take a moment to admire the results of their day's hard work.